It was warm that evening, so Loretta and her husband Dale ate their frozen pizza on lawn chairs in the backyard. Dale rested the paper plate on his belly and picked mushrooms out of his beard. Loretta set the Post-it down on her lap and sighed, sipping her beer. Guess who invited herself to the barbecue? Dale shrugged, still focused on his beard. I thought we invited pretty much everyone. Pretty much everyone, Loretta said dryly. She paused. Myrna. Dale looked up. There was still a mushroom dangling off his mustache. Myrna Pyle? Loretta nodded. Why'd you let her do that? I don't know, Loretta sighed, dabbing her mouth with her napkin. She sort of had me in a corner, I guess, and I didn't really want to get on her bad side. Well, don't let that loon yank you around. Dale drained his beer can. It'll be fine, honey. There's going to be a lot of people there. She might not even come. Loretta doubted it. So what do I need to do tonight? Loretta picked up her list again, somewhat needlessly, as she looked at the yellow squares so much she'd committed it all to memory. Well, I figure I can work on the living room, if you want to mow the lawn, maybe get the grill cleaned up. Hold on. Dale rose from his lawn chair. I think the phone's ringing. He dashed down legs that seemed too spindly to belong to his meaty upper half. Loretta sipped her beer and surveyed the backyard. She added weed flower bed to her list and let her breath out slowly from her pursed lips. Honey? Dale had reappeared at the back door, stretching the phone out on its long curly cord. It's for you. Loretta mouthed, who? As she grabbed the receiver, and Dale responded with a shrug. Hello? There was silence on the other line. Hello? Loretta? Yes, who's this? Well, it's Myrna, and I am so sorry to bother you, but I had a quick question. How many people are coming to the barbecue? Loretta gave Dale a meaningful look. I'd say about 100. Oh my, that is a lot. So then I have another question. How many pies shall I bring? Well, Myrna, I told everyone just to bring a side dish and a dessert, so one pie should be plenty. Yes, I know that. Myrna's voice rose and crackled on the other line. But, you see, my lemon chiffon pie is always such a hit that I wasn't sure how many would be enough so that everyone could get some. You know, I don't want anyone to be left out. Loretta rolled her eyes. Dale chuckled silently. I suppose you can bring more if you want, Myrna, but don't trouble yourself. I'd say 2 would be plenty. There's going to be a lot of food. Well, okay, then 2 it is. Now, should I make one of them sugar-free pie, so if anyone has a diabetes, they can still have a piece? Or how about lactose-free? Or, Myrna? Loretta found herself unable to maintain her pleasant tone. You are clearly such an expert on lemon chiffon pie that I'm going to leave that decision up to you, okay? Alrighty then, Loretta, you just leave it up to me. Alright, bye now. She hung up, grimacing. Dale was snickering. So, who was that, honey? Oh, shut up. She grinned and bounced her balled-up napkin off his chest. The sound of the telephone ringing became an all-too-frequent interruption in the days that followed. With each peal of the bell, Loretta felt mounting regret for ever having extended an invitation to Myrna. Why don't you just turn off the ringer? Dale would ask when Loretta stomped over to the phone to answer it. It might be someone else one of these times, she would reply before answering with a crisp hello. Myrna's questions regarding her pie, it seemed, were endless. Do you have a knife to cut the pie, or should I bring my own? Do you think it would be better to have a wafer crust or graham cracker? Are the Petersons coming? Because I don't think Shirley likes lemons. Should I make a cherry pie instead? Everyone likes cherry pie. Or apple. Dutch apple? Whatever you say, Myrna, became Loretta's standard response. 2 nights before the barbecue, Loretta had resigned to sitting at the card table in their cramped kitchen after 2 hours of feigning sleep. There was a low buzzing in her ears that she couldn't rid herself of. She had peeled another Post-it from her pad and was compiling her final grocery list, grinding a tablet of aspirin between her teeth. She sighed at the sound of Dale's snores from the bedroom, envious of his easy slumber. When the phone rang, Loretta dropped her pen. A glare at the glowing blue numbers on the microwave told her it was 2:30 a.m., an indecent hour to be calling, particularly about a lemon chiffon pie. She allowed the phone to ring, feeling conflicted. She relished at the thought of Myrna waiting fretfully for her to pick up, but she hated the way each ring seemed to tighten an invisible vice against her temples. She inhaled deeply and lifted the receiver. Hello. There was a shuddering breath on the other line. Oh, hi there, Loretta, it's me. What do you want, Myrna? Well, I just had a question. Myrna paused, apparently waiting for Loretta's affirmation, but it didn't come. She pressed on. I wanted to know what you think, because I was wondering if it might be a good idea to make the topping with light Cool Whip instead of the regular kind. I mean, the light doesn't taste quite as good, you know, but the regular kind is so fattening, and I know you had mentioned that you were watching your figure, so... Loretta felt her face redden, certain that she had never mentioned any such thing. She threw the phone down into its cradle with a clatter. An angry tear slid down her cheek, and she rested her forehead against her hand, breathing heavily. The ringing resumed, in what was probably the amount of time it took for Myrna to dial the 7 digits over again. Loretta rose and, gritting her teeth, yanked the phone cord from the wall. The phone stopped ringing as though she had interrupted it mid-sentence. She stood for a moment in the quiet, breathing it in, not sure that she believed it. After she was certain that the phone was not possessed, that it was not going to start ringing again of its own accord, She trudged back to bed, deciding she would give sleep another try. Loretta spent the day at the barbecue feeling much cheerier. She had taken the afternoon off from the salon to run errands, and couldn't help but beam with pride at the sight of the state of her post-it, which contained a dwindling number of unchecked boxes. Outside it was clear and sunny, without a cloud in sight. This alleviated her fear that a thunderstorm would force her guests to cram themselves in their shoebox of a house, or else leave her stuck with gallons of Jell-O and potato salad. She came home that afternoon with a trunk full of groceries. She propped one bulging brown sack on her hip as she fumbled for her keys and let herself in the front door. With an indulgent smile at her spotless living room, she headed back into the kitchen, humming softly to herself. Knock, knock! Loretta gasped and whirled around. The grocery sack fell to the kitchen floor with a sickening sound of cracking glass and sloshing liquid. Myrna's moonish face peered in from the open front door, her mouth open, exposing stalactite teeth. Loretta felt numb with mingled fury and shock. What are you doing here? Her voice was hoarse, and it shook as she spoke. Well, I've been trying to call you after we got disconnected last night, but it wasn't getting through, and I was in the neighborhood, so I thought I'd see if you were all right. Myrna stepped in the doorway. Her usual uniform of colorless, wrinkled clothes was topped off with a dirty apron smudged with globs of yellow. It was difficult to tell from the shape of Myrna's smile if she was happy or angry. Loretta's heartbeat quickened in her chest. Comanche was a small town, but Loretta's neighborhood was 20 minutes on foot away from where Myrna lived. She doubted that she was simply walking through. Her eyes traveled to the grocery bag on the floor, split down the middle with dark patches that were shining with damp. A thin stream of grenadine was trickling from inside, staining the scrubbed tile floor with a streak of red. Myrna stepped further in the living room, still grinning and evidently unaware that anything was amiss. Is there anything I can help you with, Loretta? Anything at all, you name it, I'd be happy to. Myrna, Loretta snapped, the only thing I want you to do is leave me alone. The corners of Myrna's smile retracted slightly, but her mouth remained agape. Sorry? The low hum returned to Loretta's ears. Leave me alone, she repeated, flinging up her hands. Just leave me alone, please, leave me alone. The words hung in the air, and Loretta saw Myrna stiffen when they struck her. The silence was dense, suffocating. Myrna's body seemed to retract, her shoulders pulled in and her chin lowered. She looked suddenly small. She closed her mouth over her teeth and nodded her head in a slow, dizzying way. Loretta wished she would stop. Myrna finally spoke. Well, alrighty then. Her voice sounded bruised. She cleared her throat. Alrighty, yes indeedy. Well, I'll just... She padded out the door with shoulders rounded, and Loretta felt her stomach twist as she watched her go. Loretta felt strange when the barbecue arrived, seeing something she had been imagining and planning for so long finally being actualized. She hid the knot in her stomach with a wide smile as she circulated around the backyard, with a tray of cheese cubes and little smokies on toothpicks, greeting her guests. Everyone gave her high praise, that the tiki torches were a nice touch, and the lawn looked so great, and they couldn't wait to try Dale's burgers. She thanked them, feeling distracted. Whenever someone tapped her shoulder, she would give an involuntary jump, which she waved off with a twitter of laughter. She skimmed through the mass of faces, knowing that she should be more worried about running out of beer, or that everyone was getting enough to eat. Loretta made frequent stops by the row of card tables that groaned under the weight of crock-pots and casserole dishes, searching. When she saw a lemon meringue pie, she did a double take and nearly dropped her smokies. She looked at Dale, wearing an apron and talking animatedly with the group of husbands gathered around him at the grill. Sighing, she grabbed a beer from the ones that were still bobbing in the cooler of half-melted ice. Loretta? Loretta coughed out a mouthful of beer and turned around. She exhaled at the sight of the thin woman with 3 small children orbiting around her. Oh, excuse me. Hi, Trish, how are you? Trish Livingston's pretty young face bore lines of premature age. Fine, thank you. Hey, everything looks great. Thanks so much for inviting us. Well, thank you. We're so glad you could make it. Have you heard any news from Mike? Trish smiled.